basically, the intro to movement is a way of introducing spinal motion into your body, and also introducing the ground to some of your practice. Some of it's kind of weird, so I want you to try to have an open mind with all of these movements as best as you can. So we're going to start off in a standing position, and if you can't see or hear me, again, just like raise your hand and let Siobhan know. So we're basically going to be working the spine. So I want you to stand up. So yeah, you should be able to see me. So the first thing we're going to do is focus on the neck and head. Sorry, there's some like airplanes. You're probably going to hear those once in a while. So what we're going to do is move the head back and forth. So this is what it looks like. Back and forth. So if I come in a little bit closer. So I'm trying to jut my chin out and then jut my chin in. So I'm gliding my head back and forth. So the neck is the beginning of the spine. So the head, like the brain, is basically connected to the spinal cord, and it's housed by all of the vertebrae in the spine. So that's why it's so important to move these joints, especially in the neck, because we tend to sit in very rigid positions or stand in very rigid positions. So just doing this a couple more times. Now you're going to go into a side to side. You don't have to look like me, just do your best. So this is what it looks like. And I don't want you to put too much muscle into it. So if your movement is really, really small, that's totally okay. I just want you to get used to just moving and gliding the neck. And it can be slower than what I'm doing too. Don't ever move into pain either. So if you feel a pain right at the end range, I want you to stop, okay? So we did forward and back and side to side, okay? So now we're gonna put those two into one motion. So we're gonna go forward to the side, back to the side, forward to the side, back to the side. So we're kind of making like a square. Now try to smooth out those angles so you end up making a circle. And this is super challenging. This is probably the hardest thing you're gonna do today, okay? So I promise the rest of it won't be as hard. Good. Okay, so now we're gonna go in the opposite direction. So we're gonna start forward again, and then we're gonna go to the side, back, to the side, forward, side, back, and side, and then smooth it out. And the most important thing for you to remember is to try to keep your nose facing forward the whole time. So try to avoid rotating your head like that. Just do your best in trying to keep your nose straight forward. So anytime you feel like your neck is getting kind of stiff, doing these back and forth glides and side to side will be good enough. I really like these circles because it feels very organic, and you can also do these neck circles as well whenever you feel any kind of tension. All right, good, you can stop there. So that was the head, the neck gliding. So now we're gonna move to the chest. So we're basically gonna be working this part of our chest. So what we're gonna think of is this is the only part of the body that's gonna be moving. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna move forward and back. So I like to put my hands on my hips to make sure my hips are not moving. So I'm gonna move my chest forward. So notice that my chest is forward in front of my hips. And then I'm gonna move back. My hips are still in the same spot. Forward, back. And your shoulders can do whatever. Okay, if they want to move forward and back as you do this, that's totally fine. I really wish I could see all of you do this right now. Or maybe you're just watching me. I hope you're doing it. All right. So that's forward and back. I'm giving you a skill. The next time these clubs open up, you're going to be able to do some of these movements. Okay, so side to side. So basically think of, so you've got your armpit right underneath, a couple inches underneath. I want you to think of that point right here. This is the point we're going to go side to side. And again, doesn't have to look exactly like me. You do you. Whatever your spine can do right now is totally fine. So my hips are staying in the same spot and I'm just gliding back and forth. And I like to do a lot of these spinal movements for a couple minutes a piece, especially the circles. So I'll do like 1 or 2 minutes one direction and then the other. Okay, so we're going to put those two movements together. So we're going to go forward with the chest to the side, back to the side, forward, side, back, side. So then try to smooth it out, or you can keep that square shape or diamond shape. Moving all the way around. You can let your arms relax. You might be tensing up in other parts of your body. Try to relax those other parts and just focus on moving the spine. Okay, let's switch direction. Forward, to the side, back, side. Forward, to the side, back, to the side. And then at your own pace, you can smooth it out. This is what it looks like from the side. My hips aren't moving. Good. Okay, so now we have 2 more for the spine. So we're going to go to the hips. Okay, so normally I like to put my hands on my chest to make sure that my chest is not moving. Your feet can be about hip width apart, and you're just going to do hip circles because everyone, I think, is usually pretty good at this. So we don't really need to segment it as much. So here you can play around. You can make the circles as big as you want, or you can make them real small. All right, switch direction. And you can have your knees bent too if you want, or legs completely locked out. Nice. Okay, so now I want to see if we can do all 3. So we're going to start with the head. We're just going to make a circle, whatever circle you want to do. If your nose is kind of going all over the place, that's totally okay. So head, switch direction. Good, let's go to the chest. If you want to do the square again, totally okay. Good, let's switch direction. And then let's go to the hips. And then switch direction. Nice. Okay, so the last spinal exercise we're going to do is called the J curl. It's actually the Jefferson curl, but I don't really like that. The J curl is good enough. So basically, we're going to focus on segmenting each vertebrae in the spine. So we're going to start from the top of the head, go all the way down and come up. So it's basically like a forward fold. So you're going to end up in this position, but we're going to segment each vertebrae. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is drop the head, and your head should be relaxed the whole time. So dropping the head, pretend you have a really big weight pulling your head down toward the ground. So you're going to come down one vertebrae at a time, and I'm trying to arch my spine as much as possible. So this is like the worst posture you've ever had in your entire life, okay? So you're pulling, this weight is pulling you down one segment at a time. And we want to feel each vertebrae, if possible, all the way down. You'll notice that my legs are completely locked out. You can bend your knees a little bit if this is tough to get right to the bottom of the spine, okay? So now we're gonna go up the same way. So one segment at a time, super slow. It'll probably take about 10 seconds to come up. And my head is the last thing to come up. So it's still got this big weight on it. And then right at the top, you're gonna stand up nice and straight, okay? So now we're gonna add a little bit more to it. I want you to add a contraction to your abs and your quads, okay? So those are the muscles right in front. So starting again, the head is gonna start first. It feels super heavy. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of tension in my abs. As I pull down, I'm trying to squeeze my abs as much as possible so that I get even more curve in the spine. My legs are like 50% tight. They're not like super tight, just like 50%. And I'm squeezing my abs. Again, the abs are also about 50% tension. You're gonna come as far down as you can. Relax the head. And see how far you can go. And then come back up. I really like to exhale on the way up. Okay, one more time. Head, round forward, squeeze the abs, squeeze the quads. One segment at a time. Reach for the ground, pull to the ground, and then come back up. Good. Okay, so that is the spinal series. And those are really great if you do sit quite a bit. So anytime that you have a moment, try to stand up and do a couple spinal movements so we can get the, you have fluid through your spinal cord. So even just getting that fluid moving can help your brain function better, okay? So that was the spine, most important group of joints in the body. The next thing we're gonna do is a squat. So if you can't get into a full squat, that's totally okay. You can use something to assist you. So if you have a chair close by, I would go grab it, or maybe some yoga blocks. Again, you don't really need it. You can use your hands on the ground too, okay? So we're gonna sit in a squat. And if you need to, you can bring your heels up. And if you can't get all the way down, you can use whatever the chair to support you. You can always come out of this position, shake out your legs, and try to come back in. The goal of this, the squat position, Like the end goal would be that you could sit in this position for at least several minutes without getting any kind of like weird pain. Okay, the squat is an amazing position because it compresses your abdomen, which will help with your digestive tract. Okay, so the intestines actually will move better, will move your bowels better if you're actually getting into the squatting position like at least a couple times a day, okay? So in this position, what we're gonna do is just do a little bounce. And again, if your heels need to come up, that's totally fine. If you're feeling knee pain, I want you to come out of it and do a little bounce, okay? You gotta use what you got. Good, standing up, shake it out. Okay, we're gonna come back in. So we're gonna use the hand, you can use the other hand on the ground, and you're just gonna move the knee back and forth. And you can make these rapid, if you like, or super far and slow, whatever feels good in your joint. Okay, we're gonna switch sides. Good. All right, if you need to stand up and shake it out, go ahead and do that. The next thing we're gonna try to do is bring the knee down in toward the ground, okay? So you can put your hand behind you to assist, and this is what it looks like. The knee comes down as far as you can. If this is as far as you can go before you get any kind of weird knee pain, that's totally fine. Just go to your end range. Okay, if you can manage to do it without any assist, that's great too. So just go to your end range. I've been doing this a really long time, so I have pretty decent internal rotation in my hip. Okay, so you don't need to look like me doing this. All right, let's switch sides. So again, you can put your hand down. And as you get warmed up, you might feel that maybe you don't need the assist as time goes by. Joints take a little bit of time to warm up. Joint fluid, like the more that you do joint movement, there'd be increased joint fluid. Okay, cool. So the internal rotation, this movement, you can also try this. This motion right here is a really, really great movement to do if you have a lot of back pain. So back pain, generally, like the research is kind of all over the place. However, a lot of the recent research shows that if you don't have a lot of this movement, okay, but you do have a lot of this movement, that your pelvis is gonna have some difficulty stabilizing the joint, okay? So this internal rotation is a really good one. And especially if you're a climber, this internal rotation is so, so important when you're trying to climb, because this is a very common move in climbing. It's the drop knee, okay?
Sorry to interject, Mercedes. Do you recommend inversion tables for spinal health as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, question came in the Q&A.
Great, thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. Inversion tables, or there's actually these, they're called moon boots. So inversion tables, I think, are kind of expensive. So a cheap version are these moon boots that you actually put on your ankles. And if you have a pull-up bar, I wouldn't do it on the pull-up bar that you like you just like jam it into your doorway. You have to have a solid pull-up bar. And you can just like hook your feet onto the pull-up bar and then just like rest in that inverted position. And it just feels amazing. I had a back injury like last year, and it only lasted a couple weeks because I did the inversion every day. So nice question, thank you. Okay, so that was some internal rotation. Okay, so if you feel like you are lacking this, I want you to try to spend a little bit more time in this position. Make sure that there's no pain on the inside of the knee. Just go to your range where there's no pain. Okay, so now we're gonna do a little bit of movement in this squat position. Okay, so we're gonna go into a seiza position, which is, it basically looks like this. Okay, you do need quite a bit of ankle flexibility to do this. You don't have to be in this position. You can end up right here, okay? So how we're gonna get there, from the squat, you're gonna put one foot down, okay? Then you're gonna switch, shift the weight over, bring the foot down. So now you're in the seiza. Switch to the other side, foot up, switch to the other side, back up, okay? So I'm gonna go to the other side. Hand to the ground, shift the weight over, bring the foot down, shift the weight over, okay? Shift, up, shift, up. One more time. So we'll go this direction. Cool. I hope everyone is getting that, okay? This is just really nice way to open up the front of the shins, get into full flexion of the knee joint. So now we're gonna go into, it's called a fisherman's, oh no, sorry, not the fisherman's squat. It's the butt scoot, okay? So I'm gonna demonstrate it a couple times and you just try to follow along as best you can, okay? So I'm gonna put my hand down in front of me, all right? Then, so I'm putting my right hand down. My right leg is gonna scoot basically like next to my hand. I'm gonna put my butt down next to my hand, okay? I'm gonna bring my left hand behind me. Then I'm gonna open up my legs. I'm gonna come around. So now I'm on the other side. I'm gonna push myself up into a squat and then I'm back at the beginning, okay? So I put my hand down in front. So my left hand is down. I'm gonna bring my left knee in, put the knee on the ground, bring your foot out of the way. You're gonna sit. The right hand comes back. This leg is gonna swing around. So the other side as wide as you can. That leg's gonna come down. The other leg is gonna come around. So now you should be in this position. You're gonna press up, rotate back into your squat. Okay, so I'm gonna do it from a different angle. So my right hand goes down. Right hand goes down. Right knee, right butt. Left hand comes down. I'm gonna switch. So I'm gonna make kind of like a big foot switch here. And then I'm gonna press up into the squat. Okay, so left hand down, left knee, left butt. Swing the leg around. Okay, so do this a couple times. See if you can add a little flair. You can always lean back to make that foot switch a little bit more fancy. Okay. How's everyone doing with that? All right, cool, awesome. So, what time is it? All right. So from here, so we've got a couple of things that's going on in the squat. So we're working on hip flexibility, we're working on ankle flexibility, and we're also working on the depth of the knee and coordination. So all of this is a lot for the brain to process, okay? And that's a good thing. So this should be weird, it should be hard, because we want the brain to really think about these movements any new movement actually creates more connections in the brain, and eventually it makes you smarter, which is awesome. We call it movement intelligence. So if you're ever looking for new ways to challenge yourself, like in movement, like the movement culture, if you ever look that up on Instagram, you can find a lot of different locomotion patterns just like this, okay? So you can stand up and always shake out whenever you need to, all right? So I'm gonna show you one more pattern. It's called the relay. It's almost like an introduction to a cartwheel, okay? So I know like for a while I was really, really afraid of doing cartwheels, and then I started doing the relays, and all of a sudden like I felt a lot more confident in my arms and the ability to balance on my hands, okay? So everyone should be able to do this. It starts in a squat. The squat is kind of like the island of movement. We always come back to the squat. So I'm gonna do this from the side. So I'm gonna put my right hand down, and notice that my fingers are facing back, okay? They're back behind me. My left hand is gonna come down. It's gonna face the same way, all right? And my hips are coming up, okay? So I just want you to practice that. So from the squat, put the hand down, the other hand comes down, and you're coming up with your hips. Okay? Hand, hand. All right. So from here, hand comes down, hand comes down. So now this left foot, I'm gonna come around, and I'm gonna put it basically like a foot from my hand, okay, my left hand. If you have your foot really far away, it's gonna make this next part kind of challenging, okay? So have the foot as close as possible. Your legs can be bent as much as they need. And then I'm gonna bring my right foot all the way around. And then I'm gonna rotate back into a squat, okay? So from this direction, my hand comes down, hand comes down. I'm gonna sweep the leg, and then I'm back in a squat, okay? So hand comes down, sweep, sweep. And you gotta show me your butt, okay? So that's basically what I'm doing. Hand comes down, and I'm showing you my butt, and then I'm facing forward, okay? Hand comes down, sweep, sweep, okay? Do this a couple more times. Rest as much as you need to. And you might notice you don't actually need a lot of room to do this. If you feel like you're coming around, and then all of a sudden you're like feeling like your weight is all the way back, and you have to push really hard to come forward, it means that your foot isn't close enough to your hand, okay? So hand down, bring the foot close to the hand, so that's really easy to come back into the squat. Do I ever recommend modern dance as a good movement cross training for climbers? Yes, yes. Thanks, Ben. Absolutely. Again, it comes down to movement patterns. So climbers, in climbing, you have a lot of movement patterns. And the more you can add to those movement patterns, like some different novel patterns, the better we're gonna perform on the wall, because like climbing is all about problem solving. So how can you basically, like, how do you move your body in this new problem? And if you practice movement, different types of movement, you're gonna have a lot more tools to pull from, okay? So yeah, super cool. And I actually also do modern dance. It's like modern dance for athletes. That's where a lot of this comes from. Cool. So we're gonna do the butt scoot and the relay. We're gonna put those things together, all right? So we're gonna do the butt scoot first, and then we're gonna add the relay to it, all right? So to remember the butt scoot, the hand comes forward, the knee comes down, the butt comes down. The hand comes behind, sweep the legs. Now you're up. Now we're gonna do the relay. So this mini cartwheel. The hand comes next to you, the fingers face back. Hand comes down, sweep, sweep. I really hope you guys got that. Okay, so fisherman squat. Sorry, not fisherman squat, oh my gosh. Butt scoot, hand comes down in front of you. The knee comes down, the butt comes down, rotate, push back up into the squat. Relay, hand comes down, sweep, and sweep. Okay, so butt scoot, relay. Butt scoot, relay. Okay, let's do this 2 more times, all right? Butt scoot. And it really doesn't matter what direction you're going in, just whatever feels good to you. And so what's really cool is that the squat, like I said from before, is that the squat is the island, all right? You always come back to the squat to connect other movements too, okay? So there's so many moves that you can create just from the squat, all right? Cool, so that was the butt scoot and the relay. The relay comes from capoeira, and the butt scoot comes from modern dance. So we kind of like put those 2 little items together to create like a little movement sequence, all right? So I hope that was super fun. So the next part, we're gonna do just a quick relaxation technique, which I really like to do at the end of my workout sessions, or if you're having kind of a hard day and you feel like you have a lot of stress in the body, this is a really great way to shake out the stress in your body. And a lot of this research comes from actually studying animals. They notice that when animals are in a stressful situation, they will automatically do this shaking technique. And you've all seen it if you have a dog, even cats do this. So I have a dog and I see him, he's a stress ball. But anytime that he barks at another dog or something scares him, he'll just quickly shake and he's all good. He like lets that stress go. So that's basically what we're trying to do. Humans don't have this involuntary response. Who knows if we ever had it? We probably did at some point, but now we have to make it voluntary so that we can basically just shake the stress out. So we're gonna shake for a few minutes. And then I want you to, you can either sit in a meditative position on your butt or whatever you want, or you can lay down, okay? If you do sit down, I would use maybe a pillow or a yoga block to sit up a little bit higher than your feet, all right? So the shaking, basically what I want you to do is try to think about all the stress in your body. And as you move, it's actually shaking out of your cells, all right? So you're gonna be standing for this. Can't quite see my face. Not that you really need to see my face. All right, so from here, I'm gonna initiate the shake. So it's a little bounce from the knees, all right? So the knees can make all of the movement in your whole body, or you can use your ankles. So the heels are coming up and down off the ground. The thing about the heels coming up and down off the ground is that it might pump out your calves, okay? So you can switch between them, whatever you want to do. So with each bounce, you want to feel like the shoulders are as relaxed as possible, and I'm not controlling my arms at all, okay? And I am actually feeling the shake in my face and the rest of my body. So just doing the shake, kind of get used to this awkward, weird feeling. Someone's asking a question. Oh, okay. Okay. So now you can start to do some big exhales. And what's really nice is that we're all in the privacy of our own homes. Normally when I do this in classes, people really hold back the breathing. I don't want you to hold back because you're gonna get most benefit from the breathing, okay? So as you're shaking, I'm gonna speed mine up a little bit. You can do what's called horse lips. It looks like this and sounds like this. So you really get the vibration in your face, okay? Your face holds a lot of tension. All those facial expressions that we make, holds all the tension. So we gotta get it out. You can exhale and yawn if you want, or sigh. So we're just gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna stay quiet for about a minute, and I want you to just keep shaking. And I'm gonna be breathing so you can kind of hear and see what it is like. Make your bounces a little bit bigger, a little faster. Good. All right, now you're gonna go onto the ground. You're gonna find your seat, and I want you to close your eyes, or if you're doing this laying down, I want you to listen to your breath. I want you to count your breaths for 1 minute. Close your eyes. All right, slowly opening your eyes, and I wanna take this opportunity to say thank you. I have a lot of gratitude for everyone who participated, and thank you to Siobhan and everyone else for having me part of this. Yeah, if you have any questions, now is a great time to ask. I'd love some feedback because I didn't really get to see any of you move. So I was like, no idea what is happening out there. So yeah.
Hey, Mercedes, you do have 2 questions in here. The first one is, how about parkour? I guess is that a thing that you can do to strengthen?
Keith, like parkour as in like, did you do parkour or do I do parkour?
Yeah.
I think parkour is amazing. One, like, especially if you're a climber and you're falling a lot, or you're like, you're like basically going through the mountains, you're over scree, you're jumping over boulders. Parkour will give you the basic patterns to be able to move over terrain. So I think parkour is like an awesome thing to do. Even just an intro class will actually give you some of the basic tools to be able to move outside a little bit more efficiently. Yeah.
And then Dawn had a question. You want to?
Yeah. No, I'm not familiar with the study. I guess there was a study saying that only sport-specific or activity-specific stretching would be needed and not all-around stretching. I would yes, in general, you don't need a study really to show that sport-specific training is going to be better for whatever sport that you're doing. But sport-specific training is really only done in certain phases of your training cycle or the year. We really should, most even professional athletes will go through general phases where they're basically practicing a lot of different generalized movement so that they prepare their body and then go into more specific training. So yes, I think this article is probably saying very true things, but if they're not talking about the generalized approach, I think that's a huge mistake. We definitely need the generalized approach so that we become better athletes. We just move a lot better. It's like looking through a straw. If all you did was ever look through a straw, you would be missing out on all of these other things. So yeah, I would agree and also disagree at the same time.
There's a comment, these movements are perfect for my smaller apartment.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kamari.
Yeah. I will say all my bones were cracking, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, oh, okay, I hear that. That.
Get those cobwebs out.
Yeah, that was great. So one of the things, thank you so much. That was awesome. And I'm going to be looking forward to other trainings like that. Even though I'm not a climber, I feel like those were just general, good things. One of the things that I've been asking everyone is, how are you? How have you seen? How do you encourage people to live the spirit of adventure, boldness, and healing during this time of COVID?
Ooh. Yeah.
I mean, you're set up for adventure in your garage already.
I know, yeah, that's funny. Actually, my wife and I, we were like, we should go on a climbing trip tomorrow and go to the garage. And it was just putting a new perspective on something that we always do. So that would actually be one thing that we are doing. It's kind of we're planning special things, even though we can't leave our house. So we have a blow up pool and it's tiny. So we're gonna be doing that once it's a little bit warmer and just pretend we're going to the lake. And then tomorrow we're getting snacks ready to go outside to go climbing, but we're really just gonna be in here. So I think it's more just we at least have, for most of us, we have a shelter. And so however you can make your shelter usable for movement or for relaxation, try to make your space as comfortable as possible, because this is your space and you want to feel good in it every day. So that's a little bit of what I have to share.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to your poll question. Let's see. Let's bring the poll question back up and show the results. Yes. 62% got spine correct. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Good job.
Yes, good job.
They're all important, but your spine, number one.
Yeah, I learned that when you sent that over. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, I'm going to share the screen so you can give a rundown of what you have going on, again, with the folks. I know you have a new book, if you want to talk about that and a few of these other things.
Yeah, so yeah, the newest thing in my world is that I just released a new nutrition and cookbook that goes together. And I actually co-authored it with Maria Hines, who is she's an award-winning chef here in Seattle. She's a person of color, queer woman. You know, we kind of came together and decided we need to write a nutrition book for outdoor athletes because it just doesn't exist. So yeah, we came together. It's been 2 years in the making and we just released it. The official release date is May 1st. So you can get it on Amazon. However, like we get a bigger cut if you purchase it directly through me. But whatever you want to do. Yeah, and I am super proud of it. And actually tomorrow, if anyone is around and wants to make some bars from the book, I think we'll be sharing the recipe. I'm actually going to be doing an Instagram live with Sasha DeJillian at 11 o'clock a.m. PST tomorrow. Okay, so y'all can join us for that. And then I do have a hangboard program. So if y'all climbers at home are stuck with like, what do I do on a hangboard while I'm at home? I have a whole program. I got you. I have so many things for you to do and it's fun. People are getting super strong actually from these programs, from not even climbing that much. Like it's just a lot of hanging movement. So, you know, I have that. And I also have a mobility program. So get in touch with me if you want any of that stuff.
And where can they get in touch with you?
Yep, so you can email me. It's info@modusathletica.com. The easiest way, honestly, is through Instagram. If you have Instagram, Modus Athletica is my handle, and you can just DM me. Yeah.
Awesome. And it looks like we had a question come in. Let's see what that is. Does your cookbook have vegan, vegetarian options in the?
Yes. Yeah, we actually have a section on plant-based foods, or actually plant-based lifestyle, because it's more of a lifestyle than a way of eating, you know? So it was very important to me to put that in there because I was a vegetarian for almost 5 years. So I definitely wanted to put that in there. And most of, I would say there's like 50% recipes can be made vegetarian. The vegan was a little bit harder to do. But we definitely have some vegan options in there.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Hopefully we'll see you outside at Refuge Festival and just everywhere. So thank you so much, Mercedes.
No, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All righty. Bye. Sweet.